payment, which means a rate. And that is definitely not something that makes sense. If you look at it and go, oh my gosh, 8 to 10 years from now, I'd have more than $100,000 of equity just in the amount of equity gain from the home value. And that entire time I've been paying a loan down every month versus paying the landlord's mortgage by paying them rent. Because that's what the
Exactly. Yeah.
owners do. And when you're renting, you're just helping them pay their own mortgage, not your own.
Exactly. Exactly. I do want to definitely be sensitive to people out there because, everyone hears about the affordability crisis. And I think that what happens as far as humans is really easy to drill down on the interest rate. So the interest rate, oh my God, I have this interest rate of 3%. But really, what I think people are also feeling, and I hear that with my clients too, is that it's not just the interest rate, because that's something you can kind of like, okay, there's a point in time I can see it is very real when I see my mortgage statement comes in, but it's really the whole affordability, because now it's like, okay, now the cost of food has went up, the fuel has went up, like everything that I do in life goes up. If you have small kids, daycare, all the things. And it's really hard to quantify all that stuff because it's a lot. Just to go out and get a cup of coffee is like so much money. But one thing that people can drill down on right now is really because that rate is very much, I can control that rate. I can't control other things. And I think that's something to think about when people are kind of in that mindset. It's like, should I move, should I stay? But that rate is something that I can really control, and I can't control all the other things around. And I think that as professionals, and again, I'm very much sensitive to that, because I just recently had some clients and they sold their house or in the process of selling their house. And that is a really big consideration. It's not just about the mortgage, but it's about, okay, now I have to maybe buy another house. I have to have lawn service. I don't know what the utility cost is going to be. I know what the utility cost is for this house. So there's so many considerations. So I really want to be mindful of that. But I also want to make sure that the cost of staying is not necessarily only a financial cost. It is your livelihood, because I'm telling you, over my years of selling real estate, I have went into an elderly person's home to help them sell their house, and they were stuck in that house because it was a family home. Or the house was paid off, and it was like they were just stuck, but they couldn't take care of the house. So by the time I came into play, there were so many things wrong with that house, and they really had been a prisoner of that house. So if you're in that type of situation, you want to make sure that you talk to a professional that is really honest and trustworthy, because we're not into people like taking advantage of those situations. But it is very, very true. I've helped those people sell their house and maybe move in with their kids or move into a 55 plus community, and their lives just transformed in a positive way. So we want to make sure that people are thinking about that. I think that people just really hone in on that 3%, because it's something that they can control, where again, versus all the other things that they can't control.
Yeah, it's absolutely coming back to the idea that this is not somebody who is renting, and that somebody who has a 3%, 2.75, 4%, anything better than today's market, it's psychologically difficult to overcome, but mathematically it's not. And that's
Exactly.
what we really need to educate people on. There will be some people, and that happens to me every month. Somebody comes to me and shows me what they're paying for rent. And then we look at what the cost of the home ownership would be. And they're in a rent controlled situation, or they have some really great deal with their landlord, and they're paying so much under market for rents that it is hard in that
Yes.
situation. Right. And that under market might be in their mind, just like somebody who owns a home that has a 3% rate and they have to go up to 6 or whatever the going rate is, and move up into a higher purchase price. And so we do need to be sensitive. The affordability crisis is real. Um, we also have to realize that most people who are on hourly or salary positions have a cost of living adjustment, like an annual
Yes.
raise. And so their income should be increasing as well. Not always as fast as the costs increase, but something to consider as time goes on.
Yeah,
That rate,
I want to chime in there real fast about the renter, because that is something like I've seen, and I'm sure you have seen
oh yeah.
throughout your career. I have someone, I still remember the first time. Now this is going to really date me. The first person I really had a really true conversation. Now this was like late 90s, early 2000s, and their landlord had gave them a sweetheart deal of $400 a month for like
Mhm.
a 3 bedroom house or whatnot. And then later on, I had someone that was about $1,700 a month. But you know what happened with those landlords? The economy got better, and those landlords sold, and they could
Yes.
not get those rents back. So that's
Right.
something that when you get a mortgage, then you kind of lock yourself in a little bit. You know what that payment is going to be. So anyone that has those sweetheart deals, thank God that you have it, but
Mhm.
that landlord can sell on you at any time. And it happens so often. I'm telling you, I get DMs sometimes. I'm like, my landlord is selling in 30 days. Can you
Yeah.
find me something? I get those DMs.
Yeah, definitely. I know. And I get people calling me like really frantic because they just got a notice to vacate, just got a notice they're going to sell. And now they're looking at current rents outside of their rent control or their sweetheart deal. And current rents are going up big, So it makes it really difficult when you haven't prepared in advance. And anyone out there who's considering buying shouldn't be waiting for their landlord to give them that notice, or and they shouldn't be waiting for these things that are completely out of their control, like rates coming down, or hoping. I just had a conversation today. Oh, prices are high right now. I'm waiting for them to come down. What makes you think they're going to come down? Unless this Iranian conflict comes to the US and we have a war in our own country, which is extremely rare, we're not going to see prices drop out of nowhere. I mean, even with oil as elevated as it is, people are